This is Straight Talk with Enlightened Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the Preacher Man.
Well, welcome again to another edition of Straight Talk. I'm looking that way. I need to look this way. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Shanan, E.Jones, and myself, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man. We're glad that you're joining us today. And keep those comments coming, keep viewing, and keep getting those likes and those subscribes. We appreciate it very, very much. Well, good day, Shanan. How you doing?
I'm well. Bishop, how you doing?
Shanan, if I was doing any better, Shanan, I would be doing absolutely fantastic. But since I'm doing greater as always, well, I want to send a shout out to my wife and my church family and to all of my friends and associates. And I will be speaking this Thursday. Well, I already spoke Thursday night at my good friend's church. One of my good friends, the Reverend Earl Calloway at St. Stephen Missionary Baptist Church. I will already, but this is a pre-recorded person. I will already have spoken.
Wait. It's just not catching what Calloway's doing. He got Bishop Lackey on Wednesday night.
Yes. Watch your hands.
And they got you on Thursday night.
Yes.
Yeah, so he bringing in his boys. What about any fresh young meat? He ain't gonna bring in no young brothers.
Well, you have to talk to him about that.
I'm just watching this.
I can't speak for Pastor Calloway. Neither can I speak for the St. Stephen Missionary Baptist Church.
All right, Reverend Calloway.
I can only speak for Liberty International.
Gotcha, sir.
Got you.
You preach with power.
I will have preached by the time this program has come on, but I better let the Lord use me the way He uses me. Well, listen, Shanan, I'm going to talk a little bit before we get into the program.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. You know, last week, you want to talk a little bit about the DA and the grand jury that's been impaneled to listening to whether or not Mr. Trump violated any law by trying to get the Secretary of State to find votes so he could win the election. You know, I'm so sick and tired of all this discussion about the fake election, the fake this and the fake this and the fake that. And all the courts, all these people who have decided that he has appointed judges disagree with him. And now Mrs. Willis is charged with, DA Willis is charged with she's impounded the grand jury to look in whether or not he ought to be charged for voter tampering.
I'm just sitting back with my popcorn, Bishop.
You are?
I'm sitting back with my popcorn watching this, and you know, Trump is a slippery somebody, and he did tamper. But will she get him? That's the question.
All right, well, only time will tell. But
she need to get him.
Well, you know, I mean, really and truly, people who work for him have talked about all the things he did that was wrong and the things he said and all this. But it looks like, you know, the Bible talks about, you know, the covering being pulled off of you. You know, I mean, you can only go so long without the covering being pulled off of you, right? So his deeds and actions and the things that he's done, and his, you know, people who are still yet following him, there is a day of reckoning, and that day is going to come, you know. And it is. It's just like, you know, we just saw in the news, and it was on the news for a week about the correction officer who, you know, helped an inmate escape, and her end was, you know, death. She died. You know,
she killed
herself. Well, they say she killed herself. I don't know if she did or he did. You know, we don't know.
I think she killed herself when she walked in there. When you walk a killer, who don't have his medication, out of a cell, you're gonna run away with him with a bunch of guns. And I don't want to make light of it. She understands she went by Kohl's and went by an adult shop, and in one way or another, she was gonna go out with a bang.
Well, Bonnie and Clyde, huh? Okay. Well, listen, we're getting ready now to hear from Miss C. We'll be back on the other side to talk about Miss Marjorie Green and what's going on with Miss Green and her running for office, not being able to run for office, and how the judge ruled, and then what people are saying that's in her district. So we'll be back on the other side with Shanan and
Marjorie, tell a lie.
Tell a lie. Marjorie name. And we'll be back. What you want to say? On the other side.
Miss C here with your 3-minute or more news blast. Hey Greg, hey Shannon, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well out there also. Well, listen, let me tell you what I got. St. John AME at 305 West Campbellton Street in Fairburn wants you to come out and help them celebrate the pastoral appreciation of their pastor, Reverend Charles Ramsey Sr., that Sunday, May 22nd at 9:50 a.m. Reverend Carlos T. Young Sr. of St. Luke in Forsyth, Georgia, will be the guest speaker. You can enjoy this service in person on Facebook Live or on YouTube. The 38th pastoral anniversary honoring Pastor Timothy McDonald will be held May 15, 10 a.m. at First Iconium Baptist, 542 Moreland Avenue in Southeast Atlanta. Reverend Gerald Durley, Pastor Emeritus of Providence Missionary Baptist, will bring the message, masks are optional. You can also enjoy this service on Facebook Live and YouTube. The 21st annual prayer walk of In His Great Name Worship Center will be held May 14th at 10 a.m. at 81 Dodge Street in Fairburn, Georgia. The Mass Poor Peoples and Low Wage Workers Assembly will be held June 18th. It's a moral march on Washington and to the polls. You can go to the website to learn more, and while you're there, you can also RSVP so you can get all the details. Their website is www.poorpeoplescampaign.org. And that's going to do it for the 3-minute news blast. But I want to ask you if you would do four things for me, okay? I want you to subscribe. It's right there on your screen. Just push the button if you haven't already, okay? And then number 2, I want you to leave us some comments and just let us know how we're doing, and if there's any other features you'd like for us to add. And also, I'd like for you to share this broadcast with your friends and family and people who are not friends and family. Share it with them anyway. They'll like it. And also, if you would like to have your event, that could be your family reunion, your class reunion, or church event, you can send it to me at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. And listen, if I was talking too fast, just rewind me and look at it again, okay? All right, well, that's going to do it for Miss C and a 3-minute news blast. Until next time, hope you have a wonderful week in the Lord.
Well, thank Miss C.
Thank you, Miss C, for keeping us informed.
Miss C. People are calling you, man, because they're calling you because something you said earlier, but we're gonna let that go, okay? So, but anyway, Miss C is doing a magnificent job. We talk about that all the time. She's doing a great job with church news or with news and information. So if you have news and information, just send it to Miss C. She'll get it on for you.
If you have what?
News and information.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
news
if you need to know what news is, just Google it. Google news define. Miss C don't have time for half the stuff y'all been. I can't tell you the stuff they send in to Miss C. Look like the pastor's hairline is receding.
Oh my God.
Stuff like that. Well, let's pray for the pastor. All that kind of stuff.
Well, let's get to the
pray for
well. Let's get to the poll. 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 But listen, you can send your information in to Miss C. Straight Talk News. That's Straight Talk News 1362@gmail.com. Also, like us, subscribe to the channel. Won't you do that? Hey, we appreciate it so very much. We appreciate those who have already subscribed. You don't have to pay a dime to subscribe. You just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the comment button. As Ms. C says, we just hit it. Won't you do that?
Their prayers work though.
Yeah, well, I think their prayers did work. But anyway, we have you're fortunate that it doesn't run through your family, just girth, not hairline. So you got to have something. So, but anyway, we are getting ready for this election. Early voting has already started in many counties. People are already voting. We had Saturday voting in Fulton County this past Saturday. I had to go through the polls and vote. 14th is the last day to early.
Got to be there on Saturday. Got to do it. Got to do it. Because these other trying to get there to polls all the other times, it's just going to be a challenge. Get there Saturday. Make time to get to the polls on Saturday. Take somebody you know, sister, brother, ask for your phone number. Tell them meet you at the polls. That's all I'm saying.
Well, anyway, this election, and we say this all the time, it's a very important election. Shanan and I are going to come back on the other side. We're going to talk about, we did a previous program talking about gerrymandering and what gerrymandering do. And when you hear this clip about Mrs. Marjorie Taylor Greene and what they have done for people who are elected, to make sure that Ms. Greene is put in a district to dilute certain votes. Listen, you really need to pay attention. We've been talking about gerrymandering. We started off talking about gerrymandering, we went to insurrections, and we've been on this subject because voting is important. Voting is important, and you got to know where you're voting, you need to know who you're voting for, and you need to know the law as it pertains to voting, because you know it's changed in Georgia, and in many states it has changed. So we'll be back again on the other side, and we talk a little bit more about gerrymandering and what's going on with Ms. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Stay there, don't you go nowhere, and share with your YouTube family and friends.
Latasha, you have been working to mobilize black voters in Georgia. They helped turn Georgia blue, get Trump out of office. Marjorie Taylor Greene, meanwhile, was trying to overturn your vote, overturn your work. How do you feel?
You know, I am so deeply disappointed in what is happening in this nation right now. And it's not just what she's done in terms of not representing black voters. She doesn't represent America. That ultimately what she did is she's also the person who said that the Democratic Party, she equated the Democratic Party to Nazis. She came back and talked about like how this was like the Holocaust that had happened. And so I think that we have to really recognize how dangerous she is. So to have the opportunity at this moment, she should be removed from office immediately. Not only does she not represent the constituents of Austell and Powder Springs, but she does not represent her district. She is dangerous. She's reactionary. She literally uses lies and untruths to really be able to elevate herself.
There's a lot that I want to come back to and unpack there. But before I do, Representative Wilkerson, I got to ask you, how do you feel about being a constituent of Marjorie Taylor Greene's?
I think constituent's a strong word. The same way everybody in my district feels. They were shocked that the Republican Party decided to bring Marjorie Taylor Greene down into Cobb County by bypassing around Paulding County, coming into Cobb. So it was something that shocked us when it happened. And as Latasha said, she doesn't represent her constituents now. She's more focused on going to rallies, not serving on committees in Congress. And so as an elected official, the biggest thing we can do is help our constituents. And when they call about disability, when they call about unemployment, when they call about getting a passport, they need someone to answer that phone. And she has shown no ability to put that first.
Right. Those basic constituent services are how most people interact with their member of Congress. Latasha, Greene actually told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that she would have preferred for her map to become more Republican in the redistricting process. I just first need your reaction to that, and then I need to understand, this is a very, very red district. Is there any opportunity to organize her out?
I think we're going to have to really be able to push, the fact that she does not represent democracy at all. The bottom line is the Republicans completely control the redistricting process in Georgia right now. And what we're seeing them use these tactics around gerrymandering, such as what they did with cracking, where they literally take a majority district and places like Powder Springs, which is a majority African-American city, and they literally crack the district so that they can dilute the political power so that the constituents of that district really will not have representation. And so it's ironic that the judge would actually say, yeah, it's probably unlawful, but it's too late. I mean, when did we start saying that it's okay to break the law? We'll just get back to it later. It is really a travesty that is happening right now. We've got to literally be able to organize and push and continue to beat the drum around this story and how she literally is an enemy of democracy.
Representative Wilkerson, I'm very glad that Latasha walked us through the definition of cracking, because it's something that I wanted to get to here, which is Latasha and I have sat on this set, on this screen many times and talked about what is happening in Georgia and what is happening across this country and the need for federal reforms. This story brings into stark relief what can happen and continue to happen if there is not reform at the federal level.
That's correct. And it gets even worse. Cobb County now is a Democratic county. I think we have one county-wide Republican elected official. It is run by an African-American female. The legislature decided they were going to bypass the local process and not only, stick it to basically the voters of Cobb County at the federal level, but they also gerrymandered our local maps. They have drawn, for the first time in the history of Georgia, a sitting commissioner out of her district, an African-American female. And so, the Republicans are bent on keeping power no matter what. And so we're just going to have to get through this election, elect Stacey Abrams as our governor, and then come back to the courts after November.
Well, Shanan, it's interesting what the judge did. I think you called it and you said when they were talking about it, you said that judge is not going to call disqualify. You said that he's not going to do it.
No, man, show up at the Kroger, man, looking out the window. You don't want to mess with that.
But it's people crazy. They are crazy in more ways than one, and doing crazy things, driving and everything else. This whole thing. And it was laid out. Marjorie lied.
Why don't you tell a lie?
And they called her in so many lies, but the judge ruled that she could still be on the ballot. Mm-hmm. But guess what, though? I was looking at the Atlanta Press Club the other night, and when they had the debate with Ms. Green, Ms. Green has 5 challengers on the Republican Party side. And one of the things that they said, many of them said, they're conservatives, they're some moderate conservatives, but they said that Mrs. Green, all she's doing is talking about Mr. Trump and the election was fake, being on the news, getting clips on the, but nothing for the district, bringing nothing back to the district. Her thing that she was saying that she can't bring anything back to the district because the Democrats won't let her bring anything back to the district. Well, I don't know if you slapping me all the time and not trying to work with me, and not moving on from this election and still calling it fake and carrying the Trump flag, calling it a fake election when courts have ruled that it was not fake. There was some mishaps, but it's mishaps in all elections. But it wasn't enough to throw out the election. And many of them on the stage were saying, the election is over with. Mr. Biden is the president. Let's move on. But she wants to continue to live in the past and not deliver for her district.
She wants to continue to be a celebrity. And that's what it's about for her. And she's caught up in her own machinations and she's a whatever she is in her own, a legend in her own mind. And unfortunately, the people did not elect a legend in their own mind. They elected a representative to go and pass laws and to come back and to bring something back to the district to make sure that the district has what it needs. And, at the end of the day, it's one thing if you want, the question is do you want a representative that's popular or do you want a representative that does what it is that you've elected them to do? And so, you can elect Marjorie. She's popular, but she can't get anything through, no legislation through, no one will work with her because she has alienated so many people. Concerned, though, about those 5 people that are running against her, here's the issue. You know that the more people that run against an incumbent, it pushes the incumbent.
Right.
So it's, it's 5 more people that no one know about, and they're trying to find out, and oh, shucks, let's just put Marjorie in there. Hopefully, she has polarized herself so much that this case, they will look at one of those 5 and pick somebody else. I'm for this guy Flowers, running around his brother with his kente clothesline and his cowboy hat.
Yeah, well, he's running on the Democratic side, but I'm talking about how Republicans.
Well, I'm just saying that's ultimately who I want to see take out. But yeah,
okay.
The Republicans are, I think that she might best those 5. And the issue is, and next week, hopefully, we'll maybe talk about some stuff that's going on within the extreme measures of the party, like down in Florida. Right. Unfortunately, it's a cultural thing. And these, whereas DeSantis in Florida is a Harvard, Yale guy, he don't believe the stuff that he's doing, but he's playing to his base because he wants to run for president in 2024. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't have an ice cube's chance of hell ever being president.
No.
But the thing is, I think the difference between the two of them is I think that her racist, small-brained self, she actually believes, which is she's not only a celebrity of the culture, she's a part of the culture, and she's a part of the problem.
Well, one of the things that was said here is that, and we get to the gerrymandering part, is that how they have moved the district around, didn't go through Paulding County, but swooped down into Cobb County, into Austell, Powder Spring, in the areas that were predominantly Democratic districts, predominantly black, and how they wrote out a sitting commissioner out of her district, and that's never have been heard is when they do draw the line. But this Demon Dome, the state, y'all call it the state capital, but the people under the Demon Dome for the first time, wrote a sitting elected official out of a district and placed her in another district. I mean, in terms of gerrymandering line. But we know that they put Bill and them against each other. We know they did that, right? Yeah. But just wrote her totally out of her district, period, and created a whole new district. I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, we just got to look at what's really going on and how they're playing. And even though she said, well, this is what Margaret said, well, at the debate, she said, well, I've been assured that once we take the Senate and the House, that I will be appointed to some committees. I've been assured that by other Republicans who have shared to me that I will be appointed to a House. A committee position. So you're not even on a committee. How can you influence anything when you're not even on a committee to have a voice on a committee? You're not on any committee. I mean, it's crazy that people would want to follow someone and elect someone who has no working relationship on the other side. You got to have, and Johnny Ison said this before he retired on his retirement speech. He said, when he retired, he said, I knew when I got there, I had a Republican pulling me, telling me I had to vote this way. He said, but I realized bipartisan politics is the way we're going to move this country forward. We can't be separate. That's what's wrong with this country now. We got the Republican Party, we got the Democratic Party, we have an independent party that don't have a chance to get anything done. And you and I talked about this the other day off camera. When they set up a system where you have to vote a straight Democratic ticket or a straight Republican ticket, when you go to the poll, you have to vote everybody. If you get a Republican ballot, you got to vote for everybody that's a Republican. You get a Democratic ballot, you got to vote for everybody. Let me tell y'all something. I need a Democrat or Republican. I've said that many times. Because there's some people on the Republican side, I agree with their views and opinions. There's some people on the Democratic side, I agree with their views and opinions. Because some Democrats ain't right either. Some Republicans, that's not right. But it's the individual we need to be voting for, not the party.
People choose parties like legislation in May. You might be sponsoring a bill. And your bill might be the put wheels on cars bill.
Right.
And I might have a line in there on butter.
Right.
And I want to get something passed on butter manufacturing. And so I put it in this bill. And it goes in your wheel making bill.
Right.
And it don't have nothing to do with making tires, but here it is, I got a line item in there on butter.
Right.
Well, people that, it's when someone says, oh, you're a Republican, you're a Klansman, you're this, that, and the other. We forget Martin Luther King's father was a Republican. In other words, there's some base values there.
Right. But the border was a Republican.
Then you say, "Oh, you're a Democrat." Well, Strom Thurmond was a Democrat.
Right.
You know, and no, that was with Dixiecrats. No. People join parties for different reasons. There's some things in the party you like, and there's some things in the party that don't necessarily reflect your values. The far extreme stuff that you see, family members of mine who are black conservatives, who are Republicans, they see that. They're not Uncle Toms. But then there's some other things about family values and things that they want to hold fast. Their religious beliefs and this, that, and the other. And they're just not going to go with, where the culture is leading.
Right.
And then there's some others that are Democrats on the road that say, man, you can't stop this person from doing this. This person should be able to have liberty over their body and be able to. So they argue and fight. But the thing is that most people are not to the extreme of any party.
Right.
And what Isaacson was saying was that if we're going to move forward, we got to move towards the moderate. We got to move towards the center and be able to work together. What's happening now is the culture is leading it, and it's all the way to the extreme. It's to the extreme on the right, the Republican side. It's extreme on the left, on the Democratic side. And then in the middle, they're just trying to see, which way to go with this in terms of the independents and libertarians and all of those. But, the thing is that we have to find a way. So I'm sitting back watching this. When I say I got my popcorn, I'm not being funny.
Right.
We're in some strange political days right now.
Oh man! I mean, and these things that we're saying, this is straight talk. This is straight talk. Some of you watching and viewing, you have the same opinion because we're electing people that are not standing up for our core values, what we believe in, because they're going along to get along. And then they were fighting and doing things for their next election. Most people running for office started running for office when they got in office. and they have not yet settled down in terms of what it is that your constituent wants. That was one thing, and we'll move on, but it was one thing that was said about Marjorie. Marjorie has not a constituent service component in her office that addresses the constituents. When you are elected, as an elected official, you should have some constituent service component in your office to deal with the issues of your constituents. As the brother said, who is a representative in Clark County, he says, I won't be one of her constituents because she's not going to answer the bell to the things that we want to see done or we need to have done. She's already proven that. She's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. And we have to know the character of a person. When we talk about that, Dr. King said, you got to know the character of a person. The character of a person. Not because of the color of their skin. You got to know it. You got to know it. You got to know it. If you don't know it, then you're electing a person based on whether they're a Democrat or they're Republican or, they got some good sound bites, but their work ethic is lousy. It's lousy. Absolutely. They haven't delivered not one thing.
And I think the issue is the power. You got to watch it when you get elected. And this is Reverend Shanan Jones saying this on Straight Talk. This is not Bishop Greg Fann saying this on Straight Talk.
Yeah, that's Shanan. That's Shanan.
Shanan saying this on Straight Talk.
Mm-hmm.
People elect you to do a job for the people. You never ran saying that you were going to do for your own personal aggrandizement.
Oh, I'm saying that too.
You never said that you were going to run to make yourself a celebrity.
I'm crossing over. I'm saying that.
Power corrupts.
Mm-hmm.
And absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I don't care if it's from the Fulton County Commission or the United States Congress. You got to do the work of the people. And you have to work with your colleagues to get legislation done to serve your community. You got to be careful about grandstanding because as Denzel Washington told Will Smith on the day of the greatest night of his life, the greatest night of his life, the greatest night of his career, everything, when an actor, a rapper turned actor, stands on a stage to receive the highest award that Hollywood has to offer and brings you into the Academy as an Oscar-winning actor. Denzel told him after he did that egregious thing that he did, he said, be careful. The devil comes for you in your highest moment. And if you don't think that the enemy will sift you as wheat,
woo, preach, son, preach.
You just continue to allow yourself to be used by the enemy. It was a famous scene in a movie, and I'm going to say this and I'm done. In a silly movie that we loved as kids called I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. There was this revolutionary. And when the man went to meet with the revolutionary said, they went in with guns and they came out with jobs. They went in as revolutionaries. They came out as counter-revolutionaries. They went in saying they were going to do the work of the people, and they came out doing for themselves. So be careful with that.
Well, you know, one thing is, and you're absolutely right, I agree with you 100%. And you said it, but it came out of your mouth, but I agree with you. Because when I was elected, I went in saved, I came out saved. Because it was all about the people. It wasn't about me. And I had many times, I had people that get mad at me because my concern was, how was it going to benefit the taxpayers? How was it going to benefit the people who are paying the freight cost? How is it? Now, I'm going to say this, and we'll end with this. We're looking at the Cobb County schools and how they're in disarray. Those buildings are where kids are now sending YouTubes out about the buildings. The building. How many dollars do you, as a Cobb County resident, or any resident of any school system, how many of you paying all of the tax dollars for the school system? Where is the money going? Why are these buildings are in such bad condition in the Cobb County? And you may be checking out your own school system because you may be experiencing similar or like problems. You may see more YouTubes coming out with these kids because we're living in a different time and a different age and a different day. You listen to nothing but straight talk with your true great friend, the preacher man, and Shanan Jones. And don't forget to like us. Don't forget to make your comments. Don't forget to subscribe. It don't cost you one dime to subscribe to our channel. Just subscribe. Won't you do that for us? And we'll see you next week right here on Straight Talk with your true great friend, the preacher man, and Shanan E.Jones. But this ain't nothing but what?
Straight Talk! Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Craig Fann at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Craig Fann, the Preacher Man.